No.
Well, I sent her an email.
Yeah, she's beginning the agenda, so.
Last month, I talked to a bunch of, and when I was talking to her, she says, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I forgot the meeting last night, I'm there, the other night, I'm there." And then I'm, boy, you know, this month, okay. Oh,
You guys can start, just remember to use your microphones, please.
what? What, is it
You
on?
can start again.
Oh, okay. You need to fix that clock. Okay, we've reached the appointed time for the May 13th meeting of the West Hanover Township Authority. I'll call the meeting to order, and I'd like to begin before we do the roll call, providing an opening message. Tonight's meeting has been advertised and will be held in person and online using YouTube with login information posted on our website. Tonight's video and audio is being recorded and will be archived on YouTube with a link to the West Hanover Township YouTube channel on our website. For tonight's meeting, Robert's rules will apply and the meeting will be run by the chairman, who will be assisted by an employee managing the West Hanover Channel YouTube site. During the meeting, only one person at a time speaks, and they must be recognized by the chairman and must come to the podium to speak. Many people speaking at the same time, combined with the background noise, makes meetings like this difficult to hear on YouTube. This rule will be strictly enforced. To be recognized, you must either be a presenter who is on the agenda or a resident or business owner in West Hanover who wishes to comment on an agenda item. There will be no action taken on any non-agenda items of a non-emergency / non-urgent nature that arise during the meeting. All such items will be referred to staff and will be handled at a later meeting. West Hanover Township's public comment rules will apply for all public comment. Number one, you must come to the podium to speak. It must be a resident or business owner in the township to speak. Number two, you must identify yourself by name and address before speaking and sign the guest log for meeting minute purposes. Number three, comment is limited to 3 minutes and must be about the agenda item being discussed, with the exception of public comment times for non-agenda items. Number four, no action will be taken during the public comment period for non-agenda items, with all issues referred to staff. And now we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is the roll call. And if our secretary will do the visual roll call, we can now move to item number 3, which is approval of the minutes. We've all received a copy of the monthly meeting minutes from March 11th, 2026. Do any members have any comments, additions, corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our March 11th, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The approval of the minutes is complete. Next item on the agenda is correspondence. We don't show anything on the agenda. Do any board members have any correspondence they'd like to share at this point? Okay, hearing none, we will move to board comment and announcements. Again, there's nothing on the agenda. Do any of the board members have any announcements or comments they'd like to make at this time?
Yeah, I can't load my files.
I can't get on the internet. It says I have no internet, so I'm in the same situation. I'm going to have to come visit Tara.
It says it's not that.
So, do we have any comments? Anybody? No? Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and clearly state your name and address for the record. And I see as I scan out into the crowd that we have no one making any comments, so we'll now move to presentation, staff, and board reports. First item under that is Stormwater Capital Improvement Plan Update, and that's the Sleepy Hollow Moyer project.
So we are still working through the easement acquisitions for that project. We currently have 7 easement agreements signed. We anticipate 2 more in the near future that some revisions were necessary to the agreements and some field confirmation of the property boundaries at the request of those two neighboring residents. I think we worked through those issues sufficiently. So we'll be getting hopefully those two very soon on Moyer Road. The three property owners at what is the middle culvert on Sleepy Hollow have voiced some general concerns, and we've met with them several times, spoken with them numerous times, working through the one resident's revisions that he requested on the agreements. We think we've gotten that pretty much wrapped up to this point. So looking hopefully to receive a signature on that agreement. The remaining two, we're still waiting on comments back from the one property owner on the agreement language. He did state he has some concerns. However, as of last week, he had not had a chance to go through the agreement and kind of detail his concerns. So that one is outstanding. And then the remaining of the third, we met with, he was originally opposed to providing any type of easement. And Scott, myself, and Dave Wallerton met out in the field. He voiced some concerns, some drainage concerns outside of the scope of this project. The three of us walked with the homeowner as he described his concerns, and I think we have a potential workaround to incorporate into this project a little bit, in that we may be adding a new stick of pipe into the upstream culvert and potentially a short run of small drainage pipe and an inlet or two along Sleepy Hollow Road to prevent runoff from encroaching onto his property. That it is going to take some permitting. I think it's going to be a minimal effort in terms of permitting. So we're discussing that internally. We'll get Scott basically a supplement request for that additional work, and then go from there. I don't think it's going to be, like I said, an exhaustive endeavor in terms of labor or cost. So aside from that, again, we're project manual and plans are pretty much sitting in the can, ready to go as soon as we get these easements secure. Once we do, we're looking to bid the project, hopefully yet this year, although it may, depending on how long it takes to secure the final easements, get pushed potentially into next spring. Hopefully not the case, but just advising that that is a potential. It's been a struggle getting a few of these easements, so that's where we stand. Don't have any further updates on that, though. But happy to answer any questions.
Is there an alternative to negotiating the easement if this one particular person appears unwilling to be reasonable?
I believe we can remove that easement potentially altogether if it comes, to a standing point.
The reason
It's a small easement.
Yeah, the reason I raise that issue is we're sitting on over $300,000 of
Right.
Dauphin County Infrastructure Bank loan proceeds that we didn't have to spend on the stream restoration, our final stream restoration project, that we can now apply to this particular project, but we're running out of our 3-year temporary period to spend that money. So if it looks like we're going to go into the 4th year, I think we need to go back to bond counsel for that financing and see if we can get an extension.
Okay.
I mean, I think the fact that we're already starting to work on it and it's we're spending money on it, and it's been an unanticipated slowdown, we may be able to get an extension on that. But that's something,
Mhm.
if it looks like we're going to flip into the next year, we need to start working on to make sure we can use that.
I'd just offer, in addition to potentially changing how the project is designed, that could also consider potential condemnation of the easement. So a taking of the property. I understand that's generally frowned upon in a measure of last resort, but it could be something that could lead to timely acquisition of the property, and then the property owner would have the recourse to then battle over the just compensation after the fact.
Okay. And my understanding is under the Authorities Act, this authority actually has the power of condemnation, as opposed to having to ask the supervisors to undertake that we could do that in ourselves, if it comes to that.
Yeah, we would begin the process with adopting a resolution, and that would essentially kickstart us in preparing our filings.
Is this a permanent easement that we need or just temporary construction?
So both, all of the properties, I'm sorry, well, 2 of the 3 are both temporary and permanent drainage. The one that we could potentially get around is just temporary.
It's just temporary, okay. I was going to say if
So
we're-
this is just a temporary
if-
easement?
if
that
we're,
we'd be
if
fighting
we're
over?
going to condemn it, my concern would be, and take it by condemnation, it would probably have to be in the name of the township, not the authority. Because I'm not sure that the authority actually technically owns anything at this point in time. I mean,
Well, actually,
we could actually do it.
We have a leasehold interest.
We have a leasehold interest,
because
yes,
the
but
entire
but,
system has been leased to us by the township.
We can research that one.
but,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Just-
certainly the hope is that we don't have to,
right.
Right.
you know,
Well, it
go
sounded
down that
like the
route.
guy that was, you said that was the hardest, to do, it sounds like we're finding some middle ground.
Right, yeah, so
Guy,
initially,
you just gotta get to move things along.
yeah, during the initial 2 conversations, I believe he was pretty much steadfast against providing any sort of easement. And then when we had the field visit with Scott, myself, and Dave, he kind of changed the tunes in that we're
Mhm.
not,
Okay,
he's not going to offer it until we consider his drainage concerns. So,
okay.
Compromise.
Well, and a lot of times, just the threat of condemnation will be sufficient to get them to come to the table and be reasonable.
He had some existing condition concerns that our road crew can take care of.
Okay.
That might have been generated from some past projects. So
Okay.
it was a legitimate, it was a pretty good conversation. I'm pretty confident we'll resolve him and his neighbor next door that was commenting about the water hopping over the road. We're going to be at the low point. We're going to address that with the additional pipe work, and that's
Okay.
something our staff can do too.
There could also be the sweetening the pot approach of offering some compensation for the grant of the easement. We could work that into the agreement as well. I don't know to what degree we want to spend more money, but
Well, if you go through condemnation, you're going to be spending some money, so.
Well, if we can help with some of their issues while, moving forward on what we need to do and want to do, then everybody wins.
I got a feeling that we put a little plan together and do that last step. We'll get him, because he's concerned about his neighbor too. There's a little dispute about where the property line was, and looking at an old plan that, does not reflect what's out there today. So,
Yeah, I spoke to the one resident last week, and he's like, I don't care if you come on my property. He's like, I just don't understand why you need an easement. So I think it's just fundamentally,
Yeah.
you like,
Sure.
I don't want to sign that paper type thing.
Understand.
So, yeah.
One other question, if, do we need to give approval to authorize spending, extending the contract for them to spend more money beyond what they've proposed? Or, I'm not sure how the contract was. Is that T&E for HRG's contract?
For
your
the
additional-
easement agreement,
Yeah, well, for the
acquisition.
additional work that you're going to be doing to
Oh,
extend the project?
Right, yeah, so that's, I'm going to provide some supplement.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to wait 2 months to approve that, is my concern.
Okay.
So my question is do we need to act on that, or is that something that our manager can unilaterally act on, or?
Well, I'd be happy, I mean, I'd be satisfied with it, just
Yeah.
giving the power to the manager to
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
would-
it would
authorize
certainly
any
be less
additional
than
work he deems
$10,000, so it
necessary.
would
Yeah,
be like
I would too, but
75,000, or 7,500 in that.
It
yeah.
basically is just taking the existing permit application and modifying it to allow a stormwater pipe to go in the wing wall.
right,
and
I
run up Sleepy
understand.
Hollow Road with a couple inlets. So it's not a significant change to the original permit.
Yeah, I was just, if we needed to authorize that legally to make sure that it's an expenditure of our money, do we need to legally authorize that? Or,
You could just do a motion
Yeah.
saying that the township manager is authorized to act upon a supplement from HRG to do the work that was discussed,
Aye.
not to exceed $10,000.
so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Um, All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Any other questions or for Alex on this project? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the next item, which is status of the Water Resources Enhancement Program Agreement and recommendation of township approval. I understand that there's a resolution and appendix, what's called Appendix B to their intergovernmental agreement, is going to be on the supervisor's agenda next week. We have prepared a summary of sort of our experience with REP, what this project's all about, the benefits, the costs, et cetera, sort of give them a cliff notes of, you know, what this is all about to maybe help them to coming to a decision. And so I just wanted to run it past the rest of the board. You know, this is what I emailed you guys this afternoon.
I didn't get to see that.
Oh, okay. Well, here, you want to take a quick look? Just to make sure there was nothing said in there that you had any concern over or, and basically what we're doing is we're recommending to the supervisors that they approve the amendment and that we participate in that project.
I read it, it looked good to me.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read it, but it sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's consistent with the board in previous meetings when we talked about this is something we want to do. It's beneficial. I think at one point, we took a look at, could we do this on our own cheaper than what we can do through REP? And we came to the conclusion that no, we couldn't. So it's by far the most cost-effective way to get this work done. And this is work that really could help us keep our cost of complying with the next permit cycle down. So hopefully we'll get a benefit, you know, a six-figure benefit from spending the $28,000 to do this work up front. And it's being done by REP pursuant to a competitive bid. They were the low bidder, and the
Great.
member municipalities did approve REP as the contractor for this.
I thought it was good just as a summary as well, just with some of the board members maybe not being so familiar with, you know, stormwater and where it's at and the permit cycle. and-
Well, we wrote it to sort of give them also just sort of a
Yeah.
background of what our experience has been so far
Yeah.
with REP. So hopefully it'll make it easier for them to come to a decision.
There's just, when it was on the agenda last month, the board wanted more information. So, and what we thought too is be a good idea for the authority to make the recommendation, actually make the recommendation versus just have the board take action on it.
Right.
So I would entertain a motion to make a recommendation to the supervisors that they approve Appendix B of the intermunicipal agreement with REP.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, next item is an update on the Westchester case. Iden, you're on the,
Yes, our year and a half wait unfortunately is over. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court, for those unaware, issued their decision in the Westchester case that we've been waiting on for quite some time. Justice Brobson issued the majority opinion for the court. Ultimately, there were 3 other concurring and dissenting opinions that were also issued, so this was a tightly contested matter among the justices. Essentially, they found that Westchester's program was a tax rather than a fee, upholding the Commonwealth Court's summary judgment finding. Now, many people or entities are rushing to read this as broadly as possible, but we believe that the true holding is more narrowly tailored to the Westchester program itself. As we've gone over at length over the years, their record was not particularly great, and there is, for example, footnotes in the decision about how the regulatory fee argument was not advanced by any of the parties or challenged. Also is the distinguishing fact that no municipal authorities were mentioned in the decision, and none obviously participated in the case, as it was a home rule boroughs program. That being said, not ideal. We were hoping for them to find the program, even though it was from a home rule borough standpoint, to weigh more instead of a fee rather than a tax, and go through a deeper level analysis of some of the federal factors that we've seen from a regulatory fee analysis. They did not do that. Justice Brobson, writing for the majority, advanced essentially a two-part test where they examined whether or not the entity was acting for the public benefit, and then went over a couple of reasons in the record why they found that the borough was acting for the public benefit. They did not then proceed to the second step of that analysis, which would look at whether or not the fee was, or the charge was calculated in a proportional manner. So there are still some existing questions, and we believe that the advice for particularly municipal authorities is to proceed with the programs that are as established, leaning on that express statutory authorization that we have. But that's the general update. I can go further in depth on how the concurrences broke down and how there's further analysis there of how narrowly tailored we believe the opinions to be, but that's the general update.
Okay. So at this point, we just simply have to wait to see whether this is going to apply to us or not. It's too early to tell.
Right.
Yes, I would suspect that this would lead to emboldened challenges to programs across the Commonwealth, particularly your tax-exempt entities. The Commonwealth, we know, just hasn't paid previously. Right. So it might also set up a circumstance where a municipal authority, not liking the uncertainty that's existed for quite some time and unsatisfied with the outcome of this case or lack of depth applied to them, brings some kind of affirmative challenge against the Commonwealth and says that they should be paying under their constructed program. For example, Justice Mundy in her concurrence, which was the fourth vote making the majority, said that she reserved judgment where proceeds are directed to stormwater remediation. So another program that can better show that their stormwater money goes to fixing stormwater. And then she also left a note in there talking about how she would be open to the argument about how the Commonwealth has, through their action, impliedly consented to tax. So even if it was a tax, you, the Commonwealth, through your actions, still have to pay stormwater charges. So that would be similar to what you see on more of a federal level, where they've had the Clean Water Act amendments, and they say that we are abrogating our immunity with respect to reasonable stormwater charges. So there's still a couple of avenues where this could develop here on out, but that is the update.
Okay. And just from a worst case scenario, if we find that in fact this decision does affect us, that takes the rate setting away from us, right? Because the authority doesn't have the right to levy a tax. So at that point, it would pass over to the supervisors.
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of unanswered questions on what that would look like, especially for municipalities in financial distress, on if they're even able to take on that debt that would presumably pass to them, or what may shake out from the transferring of a program, how it affects your permits that are still open, and compliance measures they're under. So
best case is business as usual. Worst case is that supervisors are going to have to get involved in rate setting, which...
Yeah, that's generally where our guidance has been, that municipal authorities keep the course as to not create more problems than currently exist, because of how the ultimate majority and dissenting opinions can be read. I should add that 3 of the 7 justices were in favor of finding Westchester's program to be a fee. So there is significant significant differing opinions amongst the justices in a very narrow fashion.
You probably can't do this, but do you have a sense for, are we looking at 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months before we have any idea as to whether this is going to progress one way or the other?
No, there's nothing by way that's going to come from
Right.
the Westchester litigation. So
I meant somebody else filing.
somebody could file, I don't know. There could be a bill introduced in addition to the ones that already have been, but I don't necessarily read this majority opinion as being a legislative fix. This is more of something that has to be applied to municipal authorities who already have the express authorization. So there's still a question mark as to timeliness.
Right.
The next thing that could happen, and probably would be to our benefit, is if the permit gets issued and we're more concretely tailoring our programs towards infrastructure.
Mhm.
So that would strengthen our arguments that it's all interconnected.
Right, and the state law from what, 2013 or whatever it was, did authorize authorities to move forward this way, right?
Yes, express. It says that you
Express.
have the statutory power to provide for stormwater management services and that you can make charges in support thereof based on
Right.
property characteristics.
So they'd have to strike down that legislation in essence if they decide that authorities can't act.
Yeah, there's a big question mark on how they would read or synthesize them together because municipal authorities don't have the power to tax.
Right.
So if you're authorizing them to provide stormwater management services and impose charges in support thereof, it awfully sounds similar to allowing them to charge fees for water or sewer or any other express powers under the Authorities Act.
Right. So,
Too early to tell.
yeah, but it sounds like it could lean more favorably, or it could be a long 5, 6, 8 year drag through the courts again.
Yes, this is an area that unfortunately we've come to expect lengthy delay
Yeah.
in action. But yes, I think the reserve judgment and the 3 justices that are weighing in favor of fees and coupled with the lack of reference to municipal authorities just keeps our course the same.
So what happens 2 years down, whenever, and say, for instance, school districts, they're tax exempt if it's a tax. So Central Dauphin is one of our biggest ratepayers with the 2 properties they have in the township. And now it comes down to, we want our money back because you've been charging us a fee that should never been charged.
Yeah, that's what I referenced, that it may embolden some people from not paying moving forward. I've seen several articles where people are taking victory laps and saying there are no stormwater fees in the Commonwealth. I don't agree with that conclusion.
I do.
You always did.
Yeah, you did long before you were ever on this board.
Trust me, and everybody's aware of it. I am not served by the West Hanover Township stormwater system at all. So I agree with the court. I'm not served. How come it's a fee?
Now, I think
It's
that's
for a service.
I think that's why Justice Mundy reserved judgment for other municipalities and their programs, because these programs are really not one size fits all. You have to see how the money is taken in, how it's charged to people proportionately, and how it's used on projects. They very much disfavored remote projects in here or projects that were not tied to managing stormwater. So that's generally been our guidance all along, though, is that you want to make sure that the money is appropriately supplied to projects designed to remediate stormwater.
Any other questions for Iden? Okay, hearing none. Final item under presentations is the Public Works, street sweeping and inspections in various locations. We've all received that information in our packet. Does anybody have any questions for staff regarding that?
No
Okay. Mike, do you have anything?
No, it looks like, I guess all this street sweeping is pretty much just spring cleanup.
Yeah.
Right. picking up all the salt and cinder, if you will.
We might be doing some maintenance sweeps this summer. We're gonna
Right.
be doing a new type of maintenance treatment on some of our roads, doing some oil chip
Okay.
patching
Hmm.
that will require some prep and street sweeping. So there's gonna be probably a little bit more active street sweeping than we've done in the past.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
So you're considering that part of the stormwater rather than the road project?
That's.
We'll have that
We can
debate.
discuss
We'll
that
have
later.
that
No,
debate.
Realistically, I'm actually considering that road maintenance. Because technically, when you sweep up right after oil and chip work, you're supposed to dispose of the cinders, but they're like 99% cinders and
Right.
stone and like 1% dirt and debris. It's kind of wasteful. So a lot of Public Works will stash that away in a pile somewhere for some backfill storm pipe later on instead of taking it to the county landfill for disposal.
Personally, I would consider it on the stormwater side, because if you don't sweep it up, you know where it's going to end up.
Yeah.
At the next rainstorm, it's going to be in our storm sewers, so,
Yeah.
then in the stream, so.
But
I wouldn't argue with you if you want to charge us for the street sweep.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, this is, like I said, it's a pilot project.
Right.
We're looking at, it's something that can be bid on CoStars. We're looking at, I haven't even explored this with the board of supervisors yet, having a discussion, but we're looking at incorporating some new types of maintenance treatments on some of our roads. And we're going to introduce it with a couple pilot projects this summer.
Right. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Mike?
All right, everybody has a copy of all this information, but I'll go down through it. Mid-Penn bank balance as of 5/7/26 was $638,857.54, and that included the March and April collections from Keystone. They were deposited. The March PAs, well, PISLAF as we know it, the statement balances, the stormwater account was $1,400,438.18, earning $4,340.95 in interest. The Dauphin County Infrastructure Bank, which Bob alluded to earlier, that loan has been invested until we spend it, and that's $312,734.11, earning $997 and a penny in interest. The April balances for PISLAF, the stormwater account was $1,404,770.98, earning $4,328.60 in interest. The Dauphin County, Infrastructure Bank account, the balance was $313,701.78, earning $967.67 in interest. It says here PISLAF update from Tim, but I didn't get anything.
No, but I can give you an update on that. I did talk to Tim after I got back in April. And for those who may not know, we had authorized Tim to look at investing $500,000 into basically a one-year obligation in the hopes of getting an additional interest rate for locking it up for a year. When he talked to PISLAF, they were offering him, I think, only a half a basis point for locking that money for a whole year. And given now that it's probably a 50-50 that the Fed will raise rates as opposed to lower rates, you know, I told them we're probably better off just leaving it in the regular account, letting it float until we get some direction. But clearly there's not going to be, I don't think there'll be a benefit one way or the other. If there is a rate increase or a rate decrease, it's going to be probably one, and it's probably going to be 25 basis points, and that's it. So it's not going to be a material change in rates. When we first authorized Tim to look at this, they were talking about 2 or 3 rate decreases
Right.
by the Fed, and then that would have impacted our interest earnings. But given the current situation with the Fed and the economy, I think we're better off just leaving it liquid. Again, it's staying fully invested in their just regular floating account that we can draw down, I think, on daily basis. So that was the update he was going to give you if he.
Okay, we'll move on.
So I hope, I mean, that was my feeling when I talked to him.
Right.
I hope the board's okay with that,
Right.
except from the standpoint of,
Yeah, we gave him the option of,
Right,
of
right.
investing up to reinvesting up to $500,000 in a CD type investment, because the other $500,000 we thought we'd end up needing for projects along
Right.
the way. So that's where we left it, but it was up to his decision based on what was transpiring. Okay, we'll move on. Keystone Collections totals for March were $152,392.99. And like I say, that's reflected in the mid-Penn bank balance. And you can see there's a breakdown of the various years and what we collected. And then the Keystone Collection totals for April were $213,564.09, and of course that includes the April bill. Yeah, that go out in March or April?
I thought it was mid-March.
Mid-March?
Yeah.
Yeah, mid-March.
Okay. So anyway, that includes the 2026 billing. And you can see there where we collected the funds from the various years. We're still collecting from 2020 and 2021. So,
You know, I was happy to see that our total collections for those 2 years at least were almost 100%,
right.
which was nice. I mean, our current collections are more like 90%,
Yeah, well,
you know, in the
that's
later
what-
years, but it looks like even though you hated to go through the sheriff's sale and every filing liens, it appears that has helped as far as getting people to finally pay the past 2 bills.
Right. What we did, as you said, the Keystone Collection percentages, item G, for 2020 through 2025 are as of 4/6/26. There's a report on that, but the big thing is the 2020, we're at 98.5% collection on that at $9,466.60 is the unpaid. However, when you get to 2025, we're up to $64,044.06 in current arrears. So
Mhm.
it hasn't improved, let's put it that way. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, approval of West Hanover Township January invoice in the amount of $27,564.35. And I did get the time to review that invoice, and I do recommend it for payment. The majority, if not, pretty much all of the expenses are admin expenses,
Okay,
not just for.
okay. All right, so we have a motion for approval of the township's January invoice in the amount of $27,564.35. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, then we have approval of the West Hanover Township February invoice in the amount of $78,365.16. And I did get a chance to review that invoice, and I recommend it for payment. And as far as an explanation goes for the $50,000 difference, is we paid the final payment on our remediation project right out here
Oh,
to
okay. So-
Flyway. That was $50-some thousand.
Okay.
So again, I recommend it for payment.
All right. I have a motion for approval of the township's February invoice in the amount of $78,365.16. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Any questions for Mike on his report?
Well done without internet.
Okay, moving on to old business. We have two items. First item is the 7741 Althea Avenue stormwater complaint. Who wants to lead us off? Alex?
I'll take it. So yeah, we spoke last meeting about a complaint from a resident at 7741 Althea regarding essentially a drainage swale in between Althea and Avondale, so it runs through the backyards of the homes on both of those roads that parallel each other. The complaint stemmed, or the basis of the complaint in the residents' eyes is that the drainage swale in the outlet or the outfall haven't been properly maintained and is creating a situation where the water is being diverted and encroaching upon her backyard. We did receive in the past, years ago, a complaint or two from her neighboring residents regarding the same thing. It appears that the drainage swale is no longer really, it's still a functioning swale, but it looks to have turned into a wetland situation, and the stream or the channel has migrated a little bit. Some of that due to modifications that have been made by residents through the whole corridor in the rear yards, and some of it from dumping of debris along the stream corridor. So we went out and investigated it. It's pretty much out as I described. Previously, it had been the stance of the township that we don't really endeavor into stormwater projects on privately owned land. So I guess that's kind of a determination of the township and the authority as to whether they wish to engage in any such project above the level of just maintenance in terms of going in and clearing debris, cutting vegetation and such like that. Certainly doing so, I believe it's likely that it's wetland, so getting in there and doing any sort of project through that drainage area would likely involve a decent amount of permitting, depending on the extent of the wetland and the impact there too. This particular resident complaint also spoke about bubbling up through her lawn. We feel that that's likely from her downspouts being and roof leaders being buried. We were not able to locate where they daylighted. So it's unclear if maybe there's some type of cistern or infiltration pit that is not draining, and so every time it rains, it obviously will bubble up, or if they're just simply buried, we don't know. But the soil in the entire area is poor. I think historically known. There's suitable on-site septic locations through that corridor, which I think led to the installation of the sanitary through that area. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's, the possibility to get in there and clean it up a little bit without creating like a project out of it that would require permitting. I don't know that that's going to resolve the complaint.
have you relayed to them the fact that the bubbling of water in their backyard may be that their subsurface drains from their roof drains is blocked?
Yeah,
You relayed that to them and,
I didn't personally, but
Okay.
the inspector did on site, I believe, as far as,
And also the water on the, being due to just running right off the roof and into the yard because that's all blocked up too.
mm,
what is?
Didn't you say that, or didn't it say in here that
roof drain.
the drains are all, not just that? I
We don't
guess-
know that they're blocked, we just don't know where they go. They go underground.
Oh, okay. I thought it also said something about, okay, I beg your pardon.
Right.
Roof drains
but
appear to be
even-
blocked. I thought that meant the gutters
No.
were
no,
failing
no,
water, which is where I was like, okay.
No, even if they're not blocked and they're going into a cistern or
Correct.
whatever, it doesn't work in that, they don't work in that.
Right, and that's,
Right.
again, if it doesn't, obviously perk in terms of on-lot septic, it's also not gonna infiltrate in terms of
Right.
on-lot stormwater
Right.
management, so, yeah.
Did they respond in any way to that or did
So
just?
we've been in correspondence, and I think the resident was looking for immediate action by the township in terms of coming out and doing something. And again, I don't think anything beyond maintenance activities could be performed without permitting, so we wanted to discuss at an authority meeting before we reply with any kind of corrective measures the township would be willing to offer.
I think it's a self-inflicted
Well, yeah.
issue.
She's a new resident. I believe she's been
Yeah,
in the home for
but
2
the
years.
So,
And we had a particularly, so the pictures that we received, I believe, were from last spring. And if you recall, we had a particularly wet
Right.
early spring. So that certainly didn't make the situation any better.
And there's an existing stormwater easement from the 50s, 60s, somewhere in that
Right,
time.
so the only thing we can locate is the recorded subdivision plan from, I believe, 57.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's not even a land development plan, so
Right.
it was simply a subdivision of lots. The lots were apparently then sold off individually. It was prior to any kind of substantial on-lot stormwater management regulations. So the deeds reference depending on the lot, a multiple width drainage easement or a 20-foot drainage easement centered on that drainage path.
and I see here that those were plans dated, at least one of them was dated 1996.
Those
know that-
houses were all
I know
built
that's
in
the last century, but still,
Yeah.
all the houses on Althea were built
yeah.
I think the home was built in 96, if I recall
late
correctly.
nineties, early 2000s.
But there's nothing you could find on record that indicated that the drainage easement was public or dedicated to the township or the responsibility of the township or,
No.
Yeah.
so it could just be a private easement saying that, hey, you're supposed to maintain drainage, but
Or it could have even been a public easement, but it doesn't state so.
Yeah.
It's your typical
right.
pre-1980s stormwater easement. It's put on a plan that means absolutely nothing. It does not give any legal authority
Absolutely.
to the township to do any work in the easement.
So we don't really have the right to go in there
Absolutely not.
potentially.
Well, clearly, I don't think we have any obligation to do it. And the question is, do we want to consider somehow, and I'd be less interested if it was just this one person, but when you look at the aerial,
You're gonna have to do the
if we
whole,
went in and cleaned it, I mean, we'd actually be,
do the whole block.
It's full of
well, you do the whole
leaves.
block.
It's all leaves. But then,
and it's all debris. You said there's a pool in the easement, I saw sheds from the aerial, there's all kind of things in the easement. I don't see where the township has any obligation to do.
you need a
No,
rake.
I think you're right.
Rake?
You need more than that.
That's
So-
it, it's the leaves. What's
so-
the leaves and grass?
So we should tell her that this is potentially just a private matter between her and her neighbors? If there's any litigation that she wants to go forward with, if she wants to, I mean,
Well, or could we consider, I mean, these people have been paying their stormwater fees.
I understand.
And, you'd like, rather than just saying, we have no legal responsibility and we're just so, tough luck, sorry, you have this problem, but it's not our problem, to maybe somehow being helpful and also recognizing the difficulty we had at Lakeside
Well, yeah.
with getting easements after we spent
There-
umpteen thousands of dollars for permitting.
And that's the exact
Uh,
reason why I wanted to bring it in front of.
And when Alex and I were talking about, when he was briefing me on it, I said, well, I might be, depending upon what the ultimate costs finally turn out to be, maybe a compromise would be, okay, we'll come, first of all, if all of your neighbors on that entire block, both sides, sign easements to, number one, give us the right to come onto the property and clean it. And then you take the responsibility of maintaining it forever, because clearly, I don't think this board wants to get involved with maintaining any kind of long-term maintenance.
Right.
But just doing a one-time clean out and then leave it up to the residents to maintain it. I don't know if we could use our public works staff to do that, whether there potentially are some grants that we could get to help cover any permitting costs. Obviously, it's not an MS4 project per se, but it could be some other project. That should we even explore the possibility of, what, maybe we can do, if you can get your 30 neighbors to all agree to give us the easements necessary, that we might consider, coming in and doing a one-time, clean it out, and then you guys maintain
I-
it going forward.
Rob, rather than easement, why don't they just give us a right of entry to go in and clean the existing swale?
Right. That's,
That would
that would
be-
be my concern, and,
Okay.
we're dealing with 12, and it's been a 2.5 month process, 12 easements, it's been
Yeah.
a 2.5 month
Yeah, we're gonna
process.
spend-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just
no,
getting
I would-
easements.
I would propose to the neighbor, you go get the easements from your neighbors. And if you can get the easements from your neighbors, we'll consider cleaning out but all we're gonna do is clean it out. We're not gonna do anything beyond that. And, if she can get all the neighbors to agree,
But
then we can look at a project. Well,
Did you
first of
look-
all, we
did you-
need to,
Did you see the complaint, though? So the complaint is like a lot of teeth in it, right? Teeth and claws at the town. She's mad at the township. And the township, in her eyes, because of this, so we could go in there and do a real nice job and clean it up. It addresses nothing in her complaint. She's saying that we're harming her foundation of her home, that we're causing bubbling in her yard, a sinkhole in her backyard, there's underground voids, a significant safety hazard to her children. Like, none of this is gonna fix any of her complaints. I understand that it's an issue. And when I was looking at the pictures, it looks like a lot of grass and leaves and stuff, and we go in there, clean it up, and spend time and money. And in another year, it's gonna be the same thing if they keep mowing into the, what they don't think is they obviously don't. And I don't mean to be rude, but they don't appreciate it for what it is. The drainage can do a lot of good, getting the water away from their properties. Maybe they don't understand what they're doing. But looking at this, she's got a lot of complaints, not a single one we would fix by
Right.
sending a crew down through, unfortunately.
Right. And to get in there and to clean that up, even if we just got a simple right of entry to go in and do that briefly, to do the entire block, they'd all have to sign off. We'd still probably rise to the point where we're going to require permits for wetlands. That's,
Yeah, you
you're
couldn't
not
get,
talking about going in there with a couple of guys with rakes.
that's what I mean,
You're talking about a skid loader down through there.
take a skid loader through the wetlands without
No.
getting a permit, right?
Right.
So this would be, that's what I mean, purely, it would be manpower. You might be able to get a skid loader
No.
outside of the, and,
In their backyards.
yeah, and scoop, but,
Yeah, and you're gonna make a mess.
Exactly.
well, that's the other thing, you're gonna be into
And you're
restoration.
defeating the purpose of the MS4 program. You're gonna have a lot of sediment that's gonna, once you pull the leaves off, it's out, it's ground. There's nothing underneath there. There's no vegetation. So now you, next year it'll be, well, now you got these big ugly ditches back there. Plus,
Right.
you run any kind of equipment in there and you're gonna tear things up, and then they're gonna want it all groomed and reseeded and, no.
Okay.
I mean, I sympathize with them. I understand their issue. I mean, to me, all we could offer and say, look, if you want to have all your neighbors go down in there and you work at it and you rake some of that stuff out, clean some of that stuff out and bring it out so that you can get it, so that we can get it out. If their neighbors were to take it out, so we would haul it away for them, bring it out to the street, you know what I mean? I don't want to get in on their back of their properties. And I don't, as much as I think the road crew could do a nice job with it, they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna tear everything up. It's gonna be wet. It's gonna be a mess, and
Well, and like,
we're gonna spend tens of thousands of dollars
On
to clean
permits.
this out, not even including permits.
and then or, not Max, no. The guy down there on the end. Like he said,
Johnny.
That guy.
we're not, senior moment. We're not gonna resolve her issue.
Right.
We're not.
And there's a
Until
lot of
she get-
issues.
Until she gets those downspout leaders to reveal where they're not building up, depositing all their water in her own backyard.
Causing her foundation issues.
Yeah,
Right.
All
yeah,
that water going in next to her foundation's causing that.
yeah, exactly.
That's why mine all go away.
Yeah, mine go out new, they're,
They really should pull those out and just let them go free, but
Yeah.
nobody likes to do that.
No. I mean, I think the desire is to have a nice, dry, green, grassy backyard.
You're not in that area.
Right.
Yeah, but, and like I said, I counted about five or six different things, none of which we would able to
Right.
alleviate by doing this.
Correct.
Okay. Well, who's going to fashion the response?
I guess that
That's
falls
something-
on me. That falls on
he's
me.
the manager, let's get one thing straight.
It's our executive director, too.
You're gonna fashion a response and you're gonna run it past us or just,
Yeah, I'll run it,
Well,
I'll email it to the board for our first read before it goes
Okay.
out. I'm blaming it all on you guys.
I blame it, yeah.
I tried.
And
No,
Appreciate that.
I would try to,
I will,
Oh, you will.
I'll throw some diplomacy in it, and then maybe I will go out and meet with the lady
I was
too,
gonna
and to
s-
see what we can resolve
Right.
at this point.
help her to understand that that truly is, because of other things, it's not backing up from.
Right.
Usually when I give a person bad news, I give them a couple alternatives, and one alternative it could be is they could have a little community cleanup day
Cub Scouts would
along
be
there,
happy
and
to,
if they did a cleanup day, we could probably have a public works truck out front where they can dump the material
Right.
into the truck. So I'll try and soft pedal it a little bit when we meet with her.
it's a great
That,
idea.
I really think
Cub Scouts.
her potential,
Cub Scouts.
Yeah.
potentially her foundation issues are, they're putting all that water right down next to the foundation into the ground and it just,
What her
Backs-
probably are is the pipes are blocked up all the way to the
Something's blocked,
elbow.
yeah.
The water gets down there, it sits right at the foundation, goes right into the
that's what's
basement.
causing all the problems.
Exactly.
And usually when it goes underground, the best thing to do is to daylight all of your
Exactly.
pipes. So I will put my civil engineer hat on and we will have a conversation.
Enjoy.
There you go.
Well, she even goes
You-
as far as to blame it on the runoff from Route 39.
Yeah, listen,
That's a haul from
Yeah, it's a haul.
Althea to Route 39.
I've met with property owners in the past, they accuse my stormwater projects of getting water in their basement when they're uphill of the stormwater project. So
Right.
yes, I'm
So,
familiar with people's lack of understanding how physics of water works.
yeah, I think that's what,
I just give you a suggestion, you take it for what it's worth. I suggest when you go out to meet with her, you take someone along to hear the conversation so that it's not he said, she said type of
Well, like
scenario.
this,
but-
I might ask for another fellow civil engineer to come out and join me. at some
Oh.
point.
Well.
You mean one with a license? That would be him, not me, but
Where am I gonna stroke out?
whatever, I'm just saying, somebody
Yeah,
to be able to say, hey, that was not what the conversation was, but.
Yeah, I will probably have somebody, especially if this person's a little aggravated, come out and join me. I usually
Yeah.
find that's a good technique. Or if I'm gonna promise things, I might wanna have my public works director out with me to just make sure I'm not promising something that can't be done.
Exactly, yeah, not promising anything he doesn't want to do.
But I will craft a letter and I will reply and send to you guys first.
He'd make a fine
Okay.
bodyguard too.
Yeah.
All right. Next item under old business is discussion and approval of pausing the rate study. And this is really a function of the Westchester decision. And the real question is, should we proceed with the rate study until we have a clearer sense of who's going to be setting the rates? Because it's a study that may ultimately want to be done by the supervisors as opposed to the authority. And I know some of their calculations, if nonprofits and school districts are no longer paying, all their financial calculations on prospective fixed rate and will all change if suddenly, we're only being able to bill tax-paying entities. So rather, I'm not suggesting that we cancel it, but simply pause it till we get, a better sense of, okay, Westchester really doesn't affect us, and therefore we can go ahead. It could be, I don't know, 3-month pause, 6-month pause.
Yeah.
6-year pause.
Right.
6-year pause. I will say Tyler, I believe, is pretty much wrapped up with it in terms of getting a draft.
My concern is if we pause it for a couple of months, I think on our timeline, if we do want to and need to move forward with changing rates for next year, then we may not get the study done if we pause it for 3 months or whatever, until it's too late to actually do the rates adjustment for next year, if we want to move forward with that. So, and again, as our solicitor said, it could be a couple of years before we know what impact this has.
Yeah.
And if it does go back to the township, they're not doing it on impervious surface anyhow. They're going to do they won't be allowed to do that either.
Nope.
It's going to be a
It become-
property tax increase.
It's
Oh,
property
That's a
taxes.
bad word to hear, and I'm sorry I said that, sir.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
so the township's limited, and once it gets back to the
Correct.
township to really just property tax.
It's
at this
property
point.
tax.
We just write a bill.
so yeah, I intended to have Tyler here today, but he's actually out of country. So last I spoke to him a week or two ago, he was pretty much wrapped up with it as far as a draft to get to you folks
Okay.
for consideration. So.
And the reality is it may end up being that we're going to continue for the next 2-3 years down the road. And
Right.
at least we have the ability, if that's what it looks like it's going to be in 6-8 months from now, we could at least make our decision how we're going to move forward. Because right now we don't know if it's actually going to impact us, and I don't know.
Okay.
And since he's so close to being done,
So I get the sense that board wants to just go ahead with the study? Don't do any pausing? That's
I mean, if there's any,
consensus?
if they're done with it, I guess it doesn't really, it's not gonna
Yeah.
help us, I guess, as far as any further analysis goes. I don't know.
We can always provide you the preliminary, let it
Yeah.
set as a preliminary, then,
And don't finalize it till we,
yeah, then we can always.
based
tweak it.
upon what goes on.
so you'll get that out to us, and then 2 months from now, we'll have the discussion as to whether to finalize it or not. Maybe then we'll have a sense as to maybe where legal's going.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right. Great.
Because I think in the next several months, there's going to be a lot of activity.
Oh,
yeah.
Over the Westchester case.
Yep.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of cases going all over the place.
Yeah, but nothing moves fast through the court system, so it'll be interesting to see how this all ultimately shakes out.
No, but sooner or later, I can see in the next 4 to 6 months, there's going to be cases filed. Now-
There's definitely going to be a rush to fill the vacuum on who has the most favorable facts.
Right.
And you want to be the first mover there so that you're not
Yeah.
stuck waiting on Westchester when you want Your question's answered.
But even though you file it in the next 6 months, it could be, knowing how these things go, it could be 5, 6 years before it gets all the way up through the court system again. Who knows? We could be dealing with our own permit. We could be on to the next permit before they gets through the courts knowing these situations.
And
I've
now
had a
that's
couple
a
of-
stretch. Your DEP actually sticking to 5-year schedules.
Right.
Yeah, no, yeah, I had them at a seminar last month, and they're a lot of fun. Well, I know we were gonna have this out early spring. Well, it's probably gonna be more like early summer now before this information comes back out, and I'm going, where have I heard this before?
Yeah. Well, how long have we been dragging, well, when did our permit expire?
23.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say 23, so it's
Yep.
been 3
23, and
years.
We've
Oh,
been
yeah.
waiting for, we don't have a new permit, do we?
No,
oh,
no. and
Well,
they
they're-
just
You're
continue the old
extended
one.
permit until they issue the new guidance for a new permit.
right.
Right.
And I think the previous, prior to this permit, probably got extended about 5 or 6 years before they actually got through with the new guidance. So we
As
could be
far
off
as
the,
the
bo-
note
some
came
of us
down.
could be off the board before then.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Or just retire.
Okay, that ends up old business. Next item is new business. We don't have anything on the agenda. If there are no emergency new business items we need to take up, then we'll move to public comment. Please limit your comment to 3 minutes and clearly state your name and address for the record. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to make a comment? Yes. Pass. Okay. All right, very
That was
good.
short, I like that.
Yep. Although you didn't come to the podium.
Oh, he wasn't here for that
Well,
announcement.
that's right. You missed the opening announcement.
He's made that announcement.
Okay. Next item is board member comments.
Gloria?
Gloria? Gloria has none. How about Mike?
No, I have no comments.
Okay, Donnie?
No, sir.
Max?
No, sir.
Neither do I. So I thank everybody for attending the meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is July 8th for sure. We do have an advertised meeting for June 10th if needed. But otherwise, for those who are watching or will watch, thank you for watching and thank you for attending. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved, second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.